Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. It's been a while since I've done one of these past couple weeks. I have focused on the special edition stuff only because of my recent trip to Las Vegas. And then I'm going to finish those, so be on the lookout for the rest of the week. But because it's been a while since a traditional video has come out, I thought I would create another Cryptids of the Week here for yourselves. This one, the random page, suggested something that was very fascinating to note because I just talked about a very similar cryptid just a couple of weeks back in early December. It was fascinating to note because one realizes that even when you're dealing with cryptids from different countries, thousands and thousands of miles apart from one another, they still share some similarities between the two, and that was so cool to find out. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. But first, this creature, this random suggested page this time around, has to do with the strange and unique cryptid called the wild haggis, which you're looking at a picture of here. This is just a picture of sorts only because there really hasn't been an official like proof, so nobody has ever really captured any official photograph or video of the wild haggis. So what you're looking at is basically an interpretation of what it looks like, I guess, based on eyewitness accounts. It's a strange creature of sorts that's found in the Scottish Highlands. It's the only known location apparently that people find it, so you're not going to find it anywhere else in the world. And then on top of that, it apparently is the source of how people there in Scotland made and consumed the traditional dish called the haggis. Real quick, you're looking at a picture of the haggis here. What this is it's one of those dishes that's probably been around for hundreds of years. It looks disgusting from the outside. It looks even more disgusting from the inside. But apparently people swear of how much it is when it comes to its deliciousness. All it is it's the inside, the innards of a sheep, basically the hearts, the lungs, the livers, maybe some intestines. They're all ground up together and then placed within what looks like a sack of like intestines, like the outer coating of an intestine of some sort. I don't know what that is, the outer coating. Someone will have to clue me on this, but it's cooked to perfection, and then people that eat it swear that it is very delicious. And then on top of that, it seems to have a great source of nutrients needed within any daily dish. So where I guess Scottish people came about eating this dish and preparing it apparently came from the wild haggis, which kind of makes some sense because looking back at another picture of the wild haggis, you'll see that it is perfectly the size of a traditional haggis dish. So the idea is that basically somewhere along the way, who knows how far back, people would catch the wild haggis, they would skin it, remove all the fur, cook it, and then when they did so, that's when it would look like a traditional haggis dish. So as far as the wild haggis and its unique characteristics, for starters, it looks like it's much tinier than your traditional cryptid, almost like the size of, let's say, a larger gerbil of sorts. Even looks like a gerbil almost. You'll see that it has that short hair surrounding its body. Key difference, of course, is it has that long flowing mane of hair from the top of its head there, and then its head itself looks like, I guess, a mixture of a rat or a gerbil itself as well. So this is a creature again that purportedly still goes around the areas there in the Scottish Highlands. So if you visit those areas, chances are, if you're lucky, you'll run into one of these. By the way, the distinction that I was mentioning earlier that makes it very similar to another creature that I talked about a few weeks back, the side-hill gouger. You remember that one? That was that strange creature here in the U.S. from folklore tales that apparently had one set of legs on one side of its body longer than the other one. And the reason it did this or had this is because it could then traverse all those rocky mountains with relative ease. I mean, it could just climb up and down those mountains very easily depending on which side of the mountain it was. And those that had longer legs on one side had them because they were born on a specific side of the mountain. Same thing with others that had longer legs on the other side, is only because they were born on the other side of the mountain. Well, that very same concept, that very same characteristic is also with the wild haggis. So apparently both of them share that similarities, because the wild haggis will always have one longer set of legs on one side of its body. It could either be the left leg, it could be the right leg. It all depends again on which side of the mountain it runs. And it has that very same problem too that the side-hill gouger had, where if it encounters itself on the opposite side of a mountain, then it has trouble. It can no longer use its legs to its advantage. This is even to the point where apparently if it ever encounters, let's say, a mate, and if it's in the mood essentially to try to procreate, well, if it runs into the problem where it's on the wrong side of the mountain, it can't, because the legs will become an issue because it can't mount the mate in the same direction that's needed, because it's on the wrong side of the mountain. So much so that even if it tries to do so, still, nature, when it comes to that stuff, it's the urge to procreate. Even if it does so, it risks itself losing its balance and then basically tumbling off the side of the mountain. But very fascinating, though, to realize that these two cryptids, the side-hill gouger and in this case the wild haggis, both share that same characteristic, even though they're completely different from one another and they're thousands and thousands of miles apart from one another. Very fascinating stuff. Other than that, that's it. Not much else to report on the wild haggis. Kind of brief when it comes to its information. If anyone knows anything else I might have missed out on with regards to the wild haggis, any other like purported images, any other video, that would be great to hear. If anyone has experience or know someone that experienced like encounters with the wild haggis, still a very mysterious creature of sorts, that supposedly still permeates those Scottish Highlands, that would also be interesting to hear. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.